Alright, well, here goes the test. Da-da-da. Prepare for some boring old me doing some drawing. So yeah, normally I would be listening to a podcast or listening to music or something, but for this I'm going to keep it just kind of, I don't want to have any music or anything, any people talking in the background or anything like that. I'm just trying to test this GoPro thing out and still trying to figure out the best way to set this angle up. The first one looked, I don't know, it looked kind of far away, which is kind of weird because I've got this thing like right above my hand, and it still looked like it was kind of a wide field of view, which is weird. I don't know if there's a way to zoom in. I don't think I can do that on this little thing, but so this might be the best way to do this. Obviously, not the end goal isn't to make videos necessarily like this, because this would be boring as shit and nobody would watch it. But the main thing is to that I'm wanting to do is to do some time lapse type stuff, which considering how long it takes me to do one of these things, it's going to be a lot of short little videos, and they'll probably end up kind of looking choppy, but you know, whatever. So yeah, I think I've got the lighting situation figured out a little bit better, but we'll see how well it looks. The first video I made looked pretty dark. For some reason, I thought I had it well lit, but I'm starting to think that maybe I should probably get some better lighting to draw under. It's probably why my eyesight sucks so bad. So bad. Kind of would make sense, wouldn't it? So yeah, listening to my boring ass voice. How do you like it? How do you like it? Making some dots. So generally, the way that I like to work is I will have I will make a tracing of whatever I'm doing off of I'll literally just stick a piece of tracing paper on my computer screen and trace out what I normally would be doing, would be drawing from. I primarily work from photographs, if you couldn't figure that out. I don't, I can work from life just fine, but for the sake of convenience, I prefer to work from photographs, and also for the sake of time, because it takes a lot longer to do this from life and, free-handed, which I used to do. I used to freehand all this stuff, just look at whatever I was doing and just draw the whole thing out, but then I'd get into issues of proportion and scale and, angles and all that stuff that I can figure out, but honestly, I do so much work and I have so little free time to do it in that making simple tracings and then transferring them onto the paper that I'm working on just seems to make more sense these days. So yeah, call it cheating if you want. I don't really care. That's what I do. But as you can see, all the value is done pretty much just one dot at a time, and I do it. I just eyeball it. This technique was more or less something my dad was really interested in when I was growing up. He used to draw like this a lot. I remember when he was in college, he would do this mostly, and when he would draw was do stippling. Of course, his stippling was was a little bit more bold, and it was not quite as layered, so to speak, as what I like to do. This particular technique I kind of stole from a friend of mine who was the art gallery director at the first art gallery that I worked at when I was in college, and he was very influential in I don't know, just as an artist, he was quite brilliant, just in terms of his technical ability. Um, so, yeah, it's really just the idea is to basically work in shapes and try to get a matching value. So, for instance, like this part that I'm working on of the extended base pad on the magazine. This is all, generally speaking, one dark value, and this isn't going to be the end value. I'm going to have to go over this again to make it darker. I'll probably use a slightly bigger pen. This is a 005, which is the smallest pen I can find that works. And I prefer to use the smaller pens just for, you know, they aren't quite as they're a little less accident prone, so to speak. I can, if I make a dot a little out of place or something, it's less noticeable with the smaller dot than the bigger dot of like a thicker pen. So yeah, so that's kind of like a base layer that I made right there, and I'll take a slightly larger pen and I'll just I'll darken it up a good bit, and so now I'm just going over it again, and once I figure out where the darkest areas are going to be on the drawing, then I can start I can start distinguishing the value range, I suppose, which would be, you know, which parts are darker, which parts, you know, how do I make an area like a middle dark or less dark, that kind of thing. I know that probably doesn't make sense. I'm kind of just talking out my ass right now. I figured if I'm going to show this video, it may be more interesting to have a little bit of context versus just me fucking sitting here just dot dot dot, place dot right there. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, so I'm just doing this, and I know it looks like I'm not really doing anything, but it's beginning to take some sort of a shape, which is nice. I want to thank Noah quite a bit for sending me this GoPro. This is kind of interesting. I've been thinking about trying to do this for quite a while, actually, and my roommate, actually, he's like, dude, you should totally make videos and put them on YouTube. I can't remember which website he was talking about, but it's like, yeah, you should put them on YouTube or whatever and make money off of it. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm sure somebody's really going to want to just sit here and watch me do this shit all day, listen to my dumbass voice. Mm-hmm. Sure. Maybe I could, like, I don't know, be like Nothing Fancy, have a super obnoxious voice that nobody likes to listen to and give you bad advice. So try to sell you products that are fucking subpar and terrible. Although, to be honest, when I first started getting into guns back in, I don't know, when I turned 21 or so, which was about 5 years ago, I was really getting into guns for the first time in a big way. Sadly, I, like many people, kind of stumbled across Nothing Fancy, and for a while I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't know any better, so whatever. And yeah, fortunately, kind of grew out of that crap. Obviously, I'm, you know, primary and secondary. Duh. So, anyway, I don't want to make this video too long because obviously nobody's watching it at this point. So, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this test video, and we'll see what happens.